Delighted to have back on the channel. It's talkSPORT Endzone. It's our dedicated NFL YouTube channel from talkSPORT, and of course ahead of exclusive live radio coverage this weekend of the divisional round playoffs, and a team that are going to be there after their first victory in 19 years in the postseason of the Washington Commanders. I'm delighted to say that rookie wide receiver Luke McCaffrey joins us now. Luke, how are you doing, sir?
Doing well. Yeah, excited for this short week and get back rolling. But that was a fun one last weekend.
Have you come down from Sunday at all? Are you still buzzing?
Yeah, a little bit. We didn't get a lot of sleep. It was a away game, so got home at about 4 a.m., got a couple hours of sleep, and then now it's just fast track recovery, get the game plan in, get the mind, body, spirit all ready for Detroit. So it's a quick turnaround.
What's it been like getting back, as you say, road game, getting back into the city? I mean, I mentioned it, 19 years. You barely turned, I think you haven't yet turned 4 years old the last time this franchise won a playoff. So what's the reaction been like since getting back to Washington?
It's been awesome. It's been so cool. But again, we went Sunday night to Saturday, and so we had to kind of change that narrative fast and just get ready to roll, get ready to start installing and prepping for Saturday.
I can definitely imagine both Cliff and DQ just being like, no, business, straight on. Like that's definitely the image I've got.
No doubt. Yeah, I don't know if they slept. Coaching's a little bit different. You don't have to get the body right as much, and so I don't know if they sleep anyway during the week because they're game planning, but this week especially.
Let me ask you about one guy who he gave an incredibly emotional interview after the game live on our station, Terry McLaurin, who has obviously been through it all. The owner change, the regime change, the coaching changes. How was he when he got back into the locker room on Saturday and Sunday, and how has he been in the room with you guys?
Yeah, he's been awesome from day one. I think just the way he is and the way he approaches the game leaves no question to why he's had success. Just the diligence and yet the humility to always learn, to always get better. And then as a rookie coming in, there's no better guy to learn from. There's no better guy to kind of follow in the footsteps of his routine, of his process. And so that's just speaking on Terry from the beginning, but on behalf of that game alone, that locker room was awesome. That's a moment that I'll remember forever, just between him, Jayden, DQ, running in the camaraderie. And I think the thing that was pointed out was just the selflessness of everybody. I think there wasn't a soul that wasn't ecstatic, that wasn't geeked up for that. And you never know how it goes because, sometimes you win and you do well, but somebody has a bad game or something goes on like that. There's a lot of emotions in football together, right? And so just to see the whole team excited, amped, and kind of for each other was special. You don't see that a lot, especially at the professional level.
I think the nature of that game, though, the way you had the turnover on downs, then the fumble, and you guys have learned and specialized in just these walk-off wins, these last-minute big victories. I almost feel like you should be walking back and going just business as usual from a walk-off field goal.
I know what it
feels like that's how you guys.
Is 5 in a row that have come down to the very last play.
5 in a row that have come down to the last play, and it's not like you didn't win on a Hail Mary earlier this season or something. It's just wild. It's wild. Just one last one on Terry, just because for you personally, as him coming into the league as a third-round pick, as a guy who you could list the receivers who come before him, and some of them are huge names, and some of them are no longer in the league. But is that something you take inspiration from when you see a guy who's like a true number one receiver who has come from what you would say is slightly more kind of humble means?
Definitely. I think I haven't been able to be here since before he got here, and I wasn't here when he was a rookie. I didn't see him kind of, carve that path at the beginning. But whatever happened, it was so cool to see how he turned out the way he is, right? And just as a young guy, like I said, just to be able to learn from that and to be able to watch that is special because I think no matter what your case is, it's going to help elevate you, right? Especially as a young guy who, I just switched to the position, is trying to learn the ins and outs of it, and just to see the way that he sees the game and the way that he kind of understands his role, the team's scheme, and everything that goes into it is pretty cool. It's hard to beat, and I think it's just a blessing. It's a gift from God to have people like him and other veterans like Zach Ertz, Bobby Wagner, who are in the same category that you get to learn from. But with Terry being a receiver, it's exceptionally special.
Cool. From your perspective, you mentioned the switch. How are you ensuring you are taking advantage of those snaps you are getting on offense? We love hearing your name called out, and then featuring in the return game and stuff as well.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. This year I chalked up to just learn as much as possible, right? To be able to absorb as much information as possible, hone in on the fundamentals, and then get the details from week to week, and having extra reps when you get to the playoffs is huge for a guy like me, right? Like, we have 2 extra weeks of practice, and for somebody who's young, who's still trying to continue to learn and get better and maximize their growth, it's so cool to have 2 extra weeks of practice. That's something that you don't always notice in the long run, but making the playoffs pays for just the development of guys in this position. And so I mean, I'm thankful for our team's success. It's so much fun, but selfishly, I think it's been awesome just to be able to get more reps and more experience.
You obviously have come in with Jayden. You mentioned him briefly before, but I mean, the guy's going to be Offensive Rookie of the Year, and I think has blown a lot of people away, even those who did study him in college, who did look at what he would be coming into the league. That first half drive, the 9-minute, 17-play, 92-yard, where it was just mistake-free, brilliant, fundamental football while making plays outside. Just watching that and going, this guy looks like he's been playing for 10 years. It's wild to me.
No, it was awesome. I think going into that game too, we knew they were first or second in time of possession on the year. They do a great job of taking care of the ball and being able to have drives similar to that too. So we put a huge emphasis on just that aspect of the game, right? Of having runs, having completions, having the clock move while we can kind of have an efficient drive. And to have that happen, I remember I looked up at the clock one time and the time of possession was skewed right early and kind of right before half, and I was like, oh shoot, I didn't even realize that. We were just focusing on one play at a time, but when you see that, it's cool because you talk about it all week in the meetings, and then to be able to play it out is a completely different thing. And so that's just a credit to the game plan, the coaches, and then Jayden, everybody for being able to execute the offense.
What's Jayden like as a guy around the locker room, day to day, working with him?
Yeah, I mean, I think he's cool, calm, and collected. I think that is the ultimate way to phrase, kind of who he is every day. Never going to be too emotional about everything, yet going to be competitive about everything, right? And so I think that's such a cool balance, especially at the quarterback position. And so it's cool to be able to see that and to be able to see just him grow from week in and week out, because he's a competitor and he's going to find a way to make a play, and he's going to find a way to win the game no matter what happens. But to see his game grow from week 1 to now has been cool too, because I think he's playing at a high level, and it's continuing to get better, which is cool to watch. That doesn't happen all the time.
And look, you've got quite a unique perspective because you're coming in at the same time as him, and this guy's like a 4-year starter in college. There's experience there, but you come from a guy who's played quarterback, and so you know what that takes. So what have you maybe learned from him watching the way he operates?
Definitely. I think he does such a good job of simplifying the game. A lot of people want to make it complex. There's a cool story of Bill O'Brien given. I heard this on some podcast. I think it was Julian Edelman's podcast the other day, but he's talking about Bill O'Brien making his little weekly cheat sheet for Tom Brady, and he brought him a book of every stat like this big. If people can see me, it's this big. If not, it's really big.
it's big.
But yeah, he gave him this giant packet of all the statistics, all the advanced analytics, and he's like, why are you giving this to me? And starts questioning him. He's like, give me whatever on a piece of paper or a note card, and whatever you can fit on there, I'll remember. Everything else is going to be out the window. And that's just a testament to how quick you have to process things, and how on top of it and simplistic you have to make complex things at the quarterback position. And that's something that I think he does really well, of just taking whatever complexities are in the offense or reading a defense and being able to just simplify it to where he's always able to stay, in the moment and in control, which is awesome.
That's really cool. Let me ask, you talked about making this year a learning year. Obviously, you come from great lineage. We know your dad, your brother. Actually, I got to spend a bit of time with Ed at the Super Bowl this year. It's a really ridiculous story that I probably should have brought the prop along to tell you. But I've got a Stanford bobblehead of your brother that we got free when we went to a game. And because obviously the 49ers were playing, we had it on our desk and he spotted it, came over and we ended up chatting and he came on the show. But firstly, he was super excited for you, your rookie year, and for you coming out and was like super pumped. But did you go to the Super Bowl this year? Did you get to, so what was that whole experience like for you and how much does like, that's got to be pretty inspiring just before you're about to go into the league.
Yeah, it was awesome. You see just the hard work that goes into the game, and to see it, pay off on such a great season that they had as a team was cool. Obviously, when you're not playing, it's stressful because you hope for the best, but you're out of control. But it was a special moment, and it was awesome.
And just finally, what advice maybe have you had from your dad, from your brother for this season as it's gone on, like as you're learning, as you're being a sponge, just to how to approach this whole thing?
Yeah, honestly, the biggest thing is just to stick to the process. Really good things are going to happen, really bad things are going to happen, but how can you keep moving forward, getting better, and just doing your best on every single rep? I think it's so easy to get anxious about the future or worry about mistakes that you've done in the past, and so to just be able to turn that page, to be able to learn from the mistakes, and yet continuously get better is just going to be the way that you not only get better and have fun, but the way that you kind of get fulfillment out of it, and enjoy it and make the most of it.
And look, you've been so generous with your time. Thank you so much. But Lions this weekend, going on the road to Detroit. Are you guys getting that win? It feels like you're a little bit like last season's Lions, if not to just insert your narrative into there. But like everyone was so excited for a franchise who hadn't had that success for so long. And now people are feeling the same about the Commanders. So underdog v underdog on Saturday night. How's it going to go down?
It's going to go well. I'm too superstitious to answer that, so we'll leave that to the pundits, right? We'll let people answer that for us, but we're going to go out there and play hard and have fun.
Love it. Luke, really appreciate your time, man. Thank you so much.
So much.
And best of luck for this weekend.
Yep.